It's dorkshelf.com.
You're now rocking with TDF Everything. Spoiled Rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey,
It's me, Daniel,
and Span
on Spoiled Rotten.
on our home door shelf.
Excellent. The Dork Shelf sandwich has begun. So, we have some stuff to talk about.
We've got a
If
lot
you
of
don't know,
foot
if
to
this is
cover.
your first episode, we are a podcast that likes to talk about comic book movies in general, but sometimes just big blockbusters, such
That's
as
right.
Mission Impossible, Fallout,
As well as Fast
Star
and
Wars.
Furious franchises and, all that kind of
Planet
stuff.
of the Apes. Anyway, you get the idea.
It's basically whatever we want to do
It is.
and geek out over. So
we talk
today-
about news
Yeah.
items and then the movies, and we spoil them. That's why the show is called Spoiled Rotten.
That's right.
Instead of, spoiler free and then spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, not important. Here we go. Right off the top. I think last episode we had to do this too with Steve Ditko, but we should observe a moment of silence for Jon Schnepp.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
If you don't know Jon Schnepp, he was part of Collider. He did Collider Heroes, but so you can see, I'm sure it's still on YouTube for you to watch. Hours of great entertainment. Someone who I legitimately looked forward to seeing. He did it twice a week, and he still never felt like he was, scraping the bottom of the barrel or just spinning his wheels. Really excited person. I don't know if he coined the term, but he used the term sweaties to get across geekdom and be like, let's get real sweaty about this and real excited. I just love, and he used terms like croutons to mean money. He's like, yeah, I'm a Disney shill. They gave me all the croutons, tasty croutons.
That's awesome.
Great guy. He also did The Death of Superman Lives, What Happens. So if you've ever seen imagery of Nicolas Cage as Superman, it's probably because of the documentary that he put out.
Yep. The
yeah,
Tim Burton Superman Nicolas Cage
Yes.
thing, which was awesome.
And he was big into animation. I want to say he did Metalocalypse.
Sweet.
Yeah, he
Yeah. I
also
love
did the BET animated. Well, he didn't do it. He directed episodes of the animated BET Black Panther. So he's got credentials in comic book world, and just was a great guy to watch in terms of the journalism that happens on comic book movies.
Right.
So he is definitely someone that will be sorely missed by me. Okay, so Aquaman, what did you think? Was it worth the wait?
Oh my god, no. Absolutely no.
Yeah.
It was like, the issue with it is, to me, it's just so bright. The
It
CGI
looks-
is so bright.
Yeah,
I don't
I
like
do
it.
have issues with the look of it, but I was just that I wasn't looking for something dark because it's Aquaman. That would, as much as they want Jason Momoa to get grittier, I still understand what Aquaman is about, and
Yes.
there's certain things inherent to Aquaman that means that going all the way dark wouldn't make sense. I just don't think that it's. I only say this because the whole thing was, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine this looks like a million times better than what would have happened at New York Comic Con.
Right.
Like, I mean, if this is the finished project, it's the finished product. But I was just
Yep.
like, no, all right. I don't like. I thought I was gonna have my mind blown, which might not be fair. But also, he kept putting it out there. No, it's not ready. I'm gonna only put it out when I'm ready. And then it was this.
But I mean, like, if by ready he means Disney Pixar movie ready, then sure, why not? Because to me, it just, the moment I saw the underwater scenes, I'm like, this is like Finding Nemo.
Yes,
And that's what I hate about it. It's so.
I don't like that, but I'm sure
yeah.
if it's a good movie, it will, that will be a minor problem.
Yes. Unless it just like distracts the entire time.
Well, I just like when I look back at Thor Ragnarok, it's pretty
It's very-
cartoony, but
it's
like
very
I
cartoony.
enjoy the movie
Yes.
because of the story and the joke. So if that happens with Aquaman, then I'll be fine.
But yeah, the whole thing with Thor Ragnarok is because we were told, and it was Taika Waititi that was doing it. We were like, okay, we know comedy is going to be heavy in this kind
Yeah.
of deal. Versus this one, it's clearly not. I mean, if there is any comedy,
No, I mean like scenes like when he fights the Hulk, which has humorous
Yes.
moments, but it's still meant to be like
Yes.
a fight scene.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't supposed to be cartoonish funny. It was supposed to be an all-out fight, and it
Oh,
still
absolutely.
looked
Yeah.
like the Aquaman stuff. So what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, I can look past that in the moment because the story has
Right.
led up to that moment, and I can just be in the moment. And so I'm hoping the same happens with Aquaman.
I mean, here we see a better look at Mera as well as Orm and Black Manta, obviously. So, I mean, those are really, really cool characters to see. A lot of people are very, very happy about the Black Manta look. Like, it's very true to the comic books.
Apparently, everything will be true to the comics. Like Orm's mask, as we were talking about off screen or off mic, he's got the orange, and I don't know if it's gold
orange,
in this or
green,
orange because we haven't seen
something like that. Suit Momoa,
Yeah.
Aquaman. He's got the classic orange and green
Which
suit. Which
While I don't care about, but I want to see it because everyone says like, "Oh yeah, that's so good." I'm like, "Okay, let's see it."
My
Let's
thing
see
is,
it, baby.
are they saying that because it is Aquaman and they're just like a small subsection of Aquaman fans? Because I'm not convinced there are that many Aquaman fans compared to.
Well,
the
I
big
mean,
hitters
it's
like
not so much
Flash and-
Aquaman fans so much as it is like obviously there's a generation that grew up with the Super Friends, so that's
Yes.
a classic look. So it would be like even if you didn't necessarily care.
Yeah.
I mean, when they brought out Power Rangers, that was something that like you probably like the group, but it wasn't like you were like, man, I hope that like you were just like or like when they did Goldar the way they did, you were kind of like, oh, why didn't they just do it the regular way? It's not like you're a massive Goldar fan. It was just like from my childhood, like why did they mess with this look? I think it's more like that. I think it's like a generation grew up with Aquaman, whether or not they loved him, it was still a look, and so it's nice to see that look in a movie like this.
I suppose so. But that is it seems to be, from what we've seen of Aquaman so far, that kind of thing just seems to be fan service more than anything else. Because I genuinely like the look that they have going for Aquaman and the promotional materials and like the grittier like armor pieces that he does have and like the
which still looks like armor. By the way.
It still looks like armor, but it's just like the bright orange and green together.
Well, I don't know how bright it is. That's what I'm saying. I want to see.
Well,
it.
I'm basing this based off the toys that are shot at Comic-Con, but of course the toys from a final
as I said, I want to
film
actually
look.
see it. I don't like. I can't base it off of toys.
Yeah,
I want to see what it actually looks like.
Sure.
And everyone says it looks good. But
Well,
what James Wan said. I was just listening to the Kevin Smith podcast. He spoke to James Wan, and James Wan was like, "Dude, like." The designs aren't broken, so like there's nothing for me to fix. I just need to like embrace what they already have set out for me. So I don't think it's fan service. I think he was saddled with a look and he likes a certain thing about because he had his pick of any superhero at the time. Obviously not Superman because Zack Snyder was doing that, but he had anyone else. Like he could have gone for Batman, but he's like, I want Aquaman. So I think he actually has a vision for Aquaman.
Yeah. My concern for this is, of course, not only just the visual of the movie, but also how cheesy some of the dialogue seems right off the bat. And it just, like that scene where he's like,
oh, permission
to come aboard. Like, off mic, I said to you, I'm like, how many takes did he take to do that without, like, just dying of laughter or anything like that?
Well, I think that comes down to knowing... Like, they keep telling us this is based off of Raiders of the Lost Ark and Romancing the Stone. So, two movies that have cheesy dialogue outside of the context of what they're doing. So, I don't think that would be an issue for him if that's what you know going in. And that's part of doing your job as an actor, is knowing what kind of movie you're making. Yeah. So, I think all of that is fine. I just think that we had a different version of Aquaman. Well, I mean, it looks like they're still keeping that style with him being like that was the worst pep talk ever, or his constant use of like that. I call this an ass whooping, and this is badass. But I think this movie has a very specific, like even the fact that he's out in the desert at the end of the trailer. It seems like it's going to be one of those like very romantic, not sexual romance, like romantic in the terms of like adventurous movie. Yeah. So
the whole romanticized hero's journey.
Yeah, I think it's going to be that way, and that means there's going to be dialogue like that.
There's elements of this trailer that make me think of Black Panther as well, from a storyline standpoint.
That, like he comes to challenge the throne.
Yeah, he
it's
comes
like
to
the
challenge
reverse
throne.
Black Panther.
Exactly, where he doesn't
have family member
and all that kind of stuff, and he's just doing the same thing. I hope it is different enough that it isn't, but I can see where they're drawing parallels. But of course, this is something that's kind of completely different. Black Panther being it's also just pure lineage kind of deal versus this is like two worlds trying to join together and all that. kind of stuff. So representing that, and I think the concept of the movie is very, very interesting, where Orm's declaring war on the world for polluting the seas as bad as it is from an environmentalism standpoint. I think that's kind of interesting to be like, okay, modern day and age, and how is this relevant? How do they write that? And I thought that was very creative. But I hope that the next couple of trailers maybe addresses that, and maybe that those are just the scenes that are in Atlantis, where it is a much more highly technological world and it's more bright. But the majority of the film obviously is not shot in Atlantis; it's shot elsewhere, and all the other kind of.
I actually think it is like 80% Atlantis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's disappointing to me from a visual standpoint.
Disappointing, but the movie's called Aquaman. I don't know where else you'd set
Well,
it. I think the
I was
desert
hoping
was an interesting choice. I didn't even think about no water. So like,
I thought he'd go to somewhere in the Seven Seas and get those other kingdoms or something like that.
I just mean like it's underwater. Like,
it's definitely underwater. But I'm thinking that, like the brightness and the Pixar quality of it. Hopefully, that's just attributed to Atlantis.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm hoping. Anyways, because that would make the most sense to me in the sense where it's like, it's kind of like Thor Ragnarok again. Asgard is very, very like ornate and like the peak of civilization. So obviously having that, and in the underwater, the depths of the sea, it would make sense to be everything that have that bright, but it's still the visuals of the actors underwater too. That it's weird to me, but it's nice to see that. The issue with Justice League, where they had the air bubble for Mera and Arthur Curry,
right.
That was actually just to have quiet discussion between themselves, like an isolated discussion, as opposed to this is how we talk underwater kind of deal.
I think that was just I really feel like they said that after the fact. I think Zack Snyder or whoever made that decision, I heard they wanted to show that she can control water, and then also
I think maybe James Wan had did that, or I don't know.
No, he didn't.
No.
He was just like, I'm not. That's not in my movie. That's not a thing.
That's awesome.
I think they wanted to show off her powers, and then put themselves in a hole that James Wan is like, I'm just going to ignore that.
Cool. Very cool.
So yeah, that is Aquaman. I wasn't underwhelmed, but also I'm gonna watch it. So
we're
I guess
definitely
it doesn't
gonna watch
really
it.
matter.
We're gonna watch it and shit all over it if we.
I don't think I'm gonna shit on it. I think I'll be like, it was fine.
No, we're gonna shit all. I'm gonna shit all over it if it deserves that.
Yeah.
But of course, if it was like, oh, okay,
it
was pretty good.
It seems like a fun, loving movie, and
yes,
from what I've been told, even if it is just the last scene, the Comic-Con trailer, the one that us peasants don't get to watch, gives a better sense of the adventure and fun of the movie than this one does. Because I was even a little disappointed they showed him as a kid. I was like, nah, I don't care about his...
Yeah, I don't care about that.
I don't care about
that.
that.
I'm like, sure. Like, well, I mean,
it was... I guess it's
nice.
It's not a well-executed fight, but I like the idea that that's like... His eyes going like that is like, oh, like, all right, he's using his powers.
Game
like, that was a nice little visual cue. Mm-hmm. So I take it back. It was fine.
Yeah. I mean, it just further establishes the fact that he doesn't belong to either world. We get it.
Also, they really don't want to show Willem Dafoe.
They also don't want to show Dolph Lundgren in this either.
Yeah, but I don't think he was.
I don't think he's
going to
have much.
I think
to do.
What I mean is, I don't think they want to lead with him because he's obviously supposed to be one of the other 7 kingdoms.
Yeah.
So they would obviously want some kind of like, cool, it's him.
Yep. Plus, I mean, like he's not. Nobody's
Mirror's
going to
dad.
watch this movie.
No one's
because of Dolph Lundgren. They're going to go, oh man, I'm looking forward to the next Dolph Lundgren movie. He's like, you mean Aquaman?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So
I'm sorry, but I gotta say this, but Vincent Chase is the true Aquaman.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
So we also got to see, not that you would know it's him, Jaimon Hansu as the Fisher King.
Yeah. Oh really?
No, he's not Black Manta. That's some guy I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's in the Get Down. He's also in Baywatch.
Sorry, I made a name judgment.
But Fisher King, he's Blueface. He's one of the Finding Nemo characters you didn't like.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he's in that, and he's in the movie we're about to talk about, Shazam.
Oh, nice segue.
What a year for Jaimon Hansu.
I was planning the. They're clearly looking to lighten the DC EU up and everything like that. Speaking of which, Shazam.
Yeah.
And let's go there right now.
I like that trailer way more.
You like that trailer a lot more?
Oh, Shazam, yeah, way better.
To me, when movies are shot in Toronto,
Yeah.
it always pulls me. I'm like, oh, cool, that's Chester Station. Oh, cool,
I
that's
just
the
wish
TVC.
they would acknowledge. I just wish they'd be like, it is Toronto. That's what I want more
Yeah.
than I like. Do you know how happy I was when Scott Pilgrim didn't try to like make it like, no, this is an American city. They're just like, no, we're in Toronto.
That was awesome.
This is Bathurst and Bloor. Like, this is happening.
That was the coolest part of that.
I was so
Scott
happy
Pilgrim.
about that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh.
Then you don't have to get pulled out, or they even do it in Enemy. Like he is in Toronto, and then he goes to Mississauga, and they actually shoot Mississauga. I'm like, yeah, great, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad this is happening. But yeah, Shazam is great. It's what we assumed it would be, big, but a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Zachary
Levi.
So we know for sure it's Levi now, not Levy.
I don't care.
Oh boy.
We've mispronounced so many names at this point that I feel like
Well, let's
our
just
audience
go
would
with-
expect us to create new ways.
Wait,
to
did you say
pronounce things.
Levi? Let's
I
say
said
Levi,
Levi
until
because
we
of the
hear
genes.
otherwise.
Yeah.
Let's just say Levi until we hear otherwise. Zachary Levi. Shit, I hate this. I wish we knew. Anyway, Zachary Levi. He is good as Shazam.
I'm really liking him as a Shazam. I mean, I think he does. I had issues with him at first. The casting call was like weird, but for what Shazam's character is supposed to be, which is like a child
Yeah.
in a adult body, he pulls it off very, very well. I find. Obviously the muscles of the suit, the padding, and all that kind of stuff. It makes sense because a kid would want like that
Right.
hyper, glorified body for like literally no reason whatsoever. And it seems like something like we're like in this movie we're not even going to get like a shirtless scene,
hope
which
not.
is like staple for all superhero movies and all that kind of stuff. Because like he's like, I don't even know how to take this off kind
Yeah.
of deal. But I mean like I don't know if like him being Shazam would mean that he's actually in the suit all the time or he can change out of it or whatever. But it doesn't seem like he can change out of it because of the convenience store scene that they had.
Yeah, if I were him,
yeah.
I would just always be a kid if I wanted to do something stealth.
Yeah.
And then turn into Shazam.
Totally. Why would?
Yeah, there's
why
no
would
need to
that-
be
yeah.
Shazam and then change out of the suit.
Yeah,
It's
especially when
easier to
there's-
move around.
Especially when it's like a Superman situation where there's no Jerry curl being pulled
Yeah.
down. It's just like, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, great trailer. I love, what's his name? Freddie something? Freeman?
Prince Jr.
No.
Yeah.
Boy.
You're talking about the kid in the crutches,
from
right?
It that has crutches.
Yeah.
Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, he's got some great lines, some great delivery.
I love his delivery
Yeah.
of you're a disabled foster kid. You've got it all.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah. Good stuff there. I like that he'll be his like guide through it, and as everyone's pointed out, he's clearly it makes sense that like Shazam would be the way he is because he's deferring to Freddie Freeman to be like, yeah, what should I do? And Freddie Freeman has got a Batarang. He's got all the Superman like articles.
Yeah.
He's got an Aquaman T-shirt on. So like clearly like he's like got an idealized version of what these heroes
Yes.
should be, and that will inform how Shazam performs. And I like that. That's a good construct. Yeah. And what I was going to say is this movie and Aquaman apparently are very heavily influenced by Jeff Johns' work in the New 52.
Oh, good.
So like a lot of the imagery from the trailers are like just pulled from the
Right.
comic book panels.
Yeah. I do
which
like
is
his suit too, like the hood
Yeah.
look of it and all. I think it looks really really good. I'm looking forward to this more than Aquaman. However, I can't. For me to be like, oh, finally there's going to be a Shazam movie. I think that would
No.
be inaccurate.
But
I
I don't think every movie has to live and die on whether or not you were dying to see it. It
Oh,
just
yeah,
might
absolutely.
be a nice thing to see that you weren't expecting
Well,
or
I mean,
cared
exactly.
about before
I
now.
mean, if we had said like, I probably would have said the same thing before the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Stuff is like, I don't care about this franchise whatsoever. I don't understand why they're doing this. And then like the review episode to be like, oh man, was I wrong? This is one of my favorite things in the world right now. Hopefully that does that to me. And
I
the
don't know if it'll
goofiness,
be
that's just
yeah.
naturally
I don't
fun.
think it'll be my favorite thing ever. I think it'll be fun, and they've set the tone. Like you know what you're looking for, and they haven't even really got into the villain played by Mark Strong, who I guess they've changed because in the comics he's not strong. Like he wouldn't be able to capture a punch. But
Right.
that scene is a scene from when Shazam faced Black Adam.
Right.
But I like the idea that he is superpowered, and he hasn't said anything, so I don't
Right.
even know what I'm trying to say other than I like Mark Strong, and I like
I
that
love Mark
he
Strong,
will be a
yeah.
physical presence because I think the other villain in the comics is very weak, and he could just sense magic, so maybe he can be a step ahead.
Right.
But
Yep.
yeah.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to this. It's got some great visuals in it. I really like the idea of him like learning how to use his superpowers. That's always fun to me. So this is going to be great. Now, getting into the next couple of trailers, of course, is Iron Fist Season 2. Now, there were 2 trailers released for this, both trying to highlight the fact that, listen, we've heard your requests. We've heard what you had to say on Spoiled Rotten, and that is that the choreography for Season 1 was awful. Now, when we saw the episode where he kind of guest starred in Luke Cage, the choreography was much, much better. So,
True.
And you're telling with the new showrunner focusing more on the choreography, it's going to be. I'm looking forward to this much more than Iron Fist Season 1, but to me, it's not a rewatchable series.
No,
by any means.
I'm not going to watch it ever again.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the same to be said about most Netflix Marvel stuff. Is just like, okay, I'm not going to watch it again.
No, I'll probably watch Season 1 of Jessica Jones again.
Oh, yeah?
I'll watch Luke Cage again.
I don't watch Daredevil Season 2. I'd probably rewatch that.
I like Daredevil Season 2.
Yeah, but like this is... That's
There are
just because I
3.
don't care.
No, there are 4 Netflix seasons I would rewatch.
Right. But here they have nods to the classic suit, the white suit with the mask and all that kind of stuff. In that one training scene in, I don't know what that place is, but Kunlun. That's
or
what
Kunlun.
Yeah.
I don't know how they pronounce it.
They've got a little nod to it. I just still think it's stupid. He's deciding to fight crime as Danny Rand.
I'm just
in
hoping
New
that
York
since
without-
they show those flashbacks,
Yep.
he will put the suit on.
Yeah.
Because
But we both know it's not going to be before the 13th episode.
Yeah, right.
But at the end of the day, what they didn't show was, of course, any hint of the villain of the series, who is Typhoid Mary.
played by Alice Eve.
Yep. And the interesting thing about Typhoid Mary is that she is originally a mutant, so from the X-Men universe kind of thing. So we'll see how they write this to be that she has either inherited her powers or whatever it is. But
My assumption is she won't have powers, and she'll be like Zemo, like a name that people think is cool. And then I like Zemo.
So she's got psionic powers.
You didn't like Zemo?
Well, I loved Zemo, but I mean, like from Zemo fighting Iron Fist is ineffective to me because they've already done that with Madame Gao, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just don't think they're gonna have her like straight up like being able to fight him one-on-one, which means that she will be a threat in a different way, like the way Mariah is a threat in Luke Cage.
Sure,
I think that's gonna be her thing.
I hope that's not
just
true.
because they can't really work with mutants.
No, they can't. But I mean, they could do like, oh, she was an experiment from this, or because whenever they do stuff like that, I feel like they could always tie it back to this was an attempt at the Super Soldier program again.
Or they can make it like she was whatever happened to Elektra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
fair enough.
Typhoid Mary, for those of you that are not familiar, certainly I am not. Has some psionic powers. She can use telekinesis to levitate small objects over short distances, and specifically here the article is very specific about objects under 10 pounds.
Nice.
Pyrokinetics, so that means she can do spontaneous combustion, and of course she can Jedi mind power people in regards to a little bit of mental suggestions.
I wonder where the blood stuff comes in.
No clue whatsoever, but how much this actually comes into the show and what they show is going to be
maybe
interesting.
You know what? I don't know why I thought they had to explain her away. Like, they did explain how Purple Man got his powers.
Yep,
he was tested on. I was gonna say I feel like they just jumped in with him, and I was fine with that. But they did take time to explain it. All right, fair enough.
And the interesting thing about her, she's got multiple personalities. So she's got 3 personalities. Mary, who's a pacifist, Typhoid, and Bloody Mary have full range of the psionic powers, and they are the strongest in Bloody Mary. So I mean, they just kind of like all kind of connect together.
Oh, so they could do that.
Yeah.
She could have DID or something like that,
Yep.
and be that'd be
Yeah.
cool. Let's talk about James Gunn
Yes.
for a bit.
Yikes.
He was fired.
He was
will
fired
not be
from
doing
Guardians 3.
of the Galaxy.
There is a petition right now.
Yeah, that means nothing.
Circulating. It's not going to do anything.
No.
Because we all know that online petitions do nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. Doesn't matter.
Except make money for the petition website.
Oh well.
From
I mean, then
views
there you
or
go.
Whatever. But
I was wondering why people were so quick to do that. All right, fair enough. Now
I mean,
know.
to show their support and everything like that. And you know what, though? And they're comparing him to Roseanne Barr, which is completely inappropriate in my mind. It's like an apples and oranges situation.
He is being compared to her. Well, some people, I think, don't understand the nuance of what happened to him. But also, it's the same company.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal. And also, there is... Well, I mean, I don't know if there's any room for interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
He was a victim of someone from the alt-right.
Yes.
Retaliating on behalf of Roseanne.
Yes.
So they will be paired together. It's very similar situations.
Yes.
Very interesting that it's at the same company. Because my take is he shouldn't have been hired. If it's that big of an issue to you,
Yes. In the first place, like
it's
here's
what
the
I
thing.
feel about the what's it called, Lord and Miller thing. Like how, like
Yep. Shouldn't
don't
have been
hire
hired
them
in the
then.
first place.
Just if it's going to be an issue, don't hire them.
Yeah, because for a company like Disney, that is very, very adamant about maintaining the family image and all that kind of stuff on the Disney brand. You know for sure when they hired James Gunn in the beginning that they've done research into his social media history.
Well, they're
and all
saying
that
they
kind of
didn't.
stuff. Well, I refuse to believe that.
Yeah. No, I'm just going based off of their official stance, which is, like this came to light just now, which is ridiculous because he even addressed it because
he addressed
in
it.
2012 when
Yeah.
he was announced as the Guardians of the Galaxy director,
Yep.
people were like, no, this guy did this, this, and this, and he was like, oh, like that was before I've changed. And as I told you, I also was like, I don't like James Gunn and I didn't like his movies. And when I couldn't read all of them. There's 10,000 of them, and also just on a personal level, I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
When I started getting into the sheets, I was like, oh yeah, like I remember, like this is like his movies, like the movies I don't like. Like they're very dark and disturbing, and not to the level of thought provoking, just shock value
Just
stuff.
shock factor movies.
But that was his brand. Like that was what he was a part of. Like that
Yes.
That's not something that he was hiding. That wasn't a secret. That was his bread and butter. Is this, as he said, like provocateur type thing. Like that's what he wanted to do.
Yep.
And then they hired him to do these movies, and he changed around. And so, on a personal level, I am like, yeah, I'm happy he was fired because that's fucked. Like that's that type of stuff. I don't think that's going to stop his career. Like, but
No.
the bigger picture is it shows that people don't believe in rehabilitation, and that's
Yes.
what I've always talked about. Is
It's true.
people
They
get
don't
on
care.
like obviously if you've done something bad.
Yeah.
If you if you're someone like Chris Brown, I will use Chris Brown as an example. I don't know that he's learned his lesson.
Oh, he
I
has
think he
not.
thinks like, why is everyone so mad at me? And then he gets arrested for battery again.
Yep.
Like someone like George Zimmerman doesn't feel bad.
No.
He is actively goading people into like fighting him and wanting to kill
Yes.
more black people and beating his significant other,
Yes.
pistol whipping her. People like that, yeah, like they should not have a career. They should not. And I know George Zimmerman isn't a celebrity, but people have made him one.
Right.
But like those people don't learn from their mistakes and should not be able to continue to operate at a high level.
Yep.
But if you're talking about like Disney has given second chances to Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
who has a very horrible past.
Yes, he has a terrible past.
Josh Brolin has a terrible past.
Of course.
These are the faces of their like upcoming movies.
Yep.
So it is a hard thing. It's what I always say. Like it's hard when you try to insert morals because either it's all bad or it's all not. Like it's hard when you start picking and choosing because then by omission you start tacitly endorsing other things.
But the issue here is that there's no one thing that is all bad or all good.
But that's what I'm saying. When you try to do that,
Yeah.
that's the problem, is that you have to take the stance of it's all bad, because then you leave yourself open.
It's
and
to
so
hypocrisy.
so then you need to just be able to say, you know what, we spoke to him about these tweets. He has done a turnaround. I believe he has. As someone who actively disliked him and didn't want to deal with him, I follow him on Twitter. I enjoyed following him, or I enjoyed following him on Twitter because of what he was talking about, and it did seem like he had changed.
Yes,
especially in the Guardians movies. Like, they were not like the other movies. I'm sure there's elements, but there was a happiness and a much better soulfulness to those two movies than previous movies he's done.
I mean, my issue is I disagree with him being fired entirely. I don't. It's not the same thing. And I'm going to bring up the Chris Hardwick situation from AMC right now, where they did their internal investigation and they reinstated him. But of course, his name's been dragged through the mud now because of the actions of his ex. And whatever the investigation entailed, it's not a public investigation by the police. AMC didn't have to bring up the evidence results, or whatever that they were doing, but that's what they concluded, was that we actually have done our due diligence. We've looked into this and we're reinstating him in both those shows that he's doing. But it's obviously affected his career, but to the extent where he still has a career doing the same job that he was doing. It's going to take some time to get.
I don't like that argument, because no one who has had this issue, no one who's like had to go away is going to go away forever.
No, they're not going to go away forever.
No,
arguably Kevin Spacey might go away forever, but
that speaks to like where he is at in his career. Like, he's older now. Like, maybe there won't be enough time. But like Mel Gibson, people are dying to get him back.
Yeah, like Mickey Rourke, they wanted to get him
they
back
brought
for a
like
while.
everyone comes back. I don't ever like when people are like, you're ruining this man's career. I'm like, no, he's gonna have some downtime, and
he's
then
gonna have a
that's that.
sabbatical, if anything.
Yeah. Chris Hardwick came back in less time. Like, I was still thinking that like people were investigating. It's like, no, he's back.
Yeah.
Louis C.K. is back. Like, there's the guy who I don't remember, was it Matt Lauer, the guy that like had a lock on his room so that he could like from his desk lock the room so women would have to stay in there with him.
Yep.
He's possibly coming back. Like, all these people who legitimately did terrible things, they're going to be back. Like, it just means like maybe we put them on timeout for now.
That's
and
exactly
so, like,
it for the public to.
That's why I'm not like for James Gunn. It's different because it seemed like he changed and he didn't do what Roseanne did, which is offend again. Like, as you said, you refuse to believe that Disney didn't know about this, because Disney knew. I mean, how could you not know about the Roseanne stuff? But like, they were giddy at upfronts, being like, "Oh, like, can you believe like we're bringing her back? Because like she's such a provocateur."
Absolutely.
And then
she did exactly
what and they were like, "Oh shit, I guess we have to get rid of her." Whereas that's not what James Gunn was doing.
No,
so
James Gunn has made mistakes in the past. He said some awful things in a dark humor standpoint, but ever since then, he's acknowledged it. He's never shied away from it. He's apologized for it. He's legitimately changed, and the cast and crew all seem to unanimously support him.
Do they? I've only seen Dave Bautista and his brother.
Batista's done it. Sean Gunn's done it. I think.
I know Zoe Saldana and Chris Pratt said something, but I didn't know if it was like
Chris Pratt said something.
I don't know if it was a full. Yeah, well, he's a very religious person, so I think it would be hard for his brand to be like.
He posted something religious, and I forgot what it was.
I don't think you're gonna get full on. So Dave Bautista looks like he's like, I might not even come back if you guys don't reinstate him.
Yeah.
But that's a big deal because Dave Bautista actually was made a star by this. Like, he was in movies before, but being Drax is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely it is,
and it helps give him the goodwill to be able to do other things.
Yeah, because
whereas Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana will be fine without.
Oh, they'll be fine without it. That's why they have to kind of distance it from it to a degree. But I mean, even from what I remember reading from the Chris Pratt thing, the thing that he posted, it seemed to be in support. But that's my interpretation. Whatever he intended is a different story. But I love that the fact that you said that, like, whether or not I agree with you, because I don't agree that he should have been fired from this. He's owned up to it. He's like everything like that. But you're right, and that boils down to it. nobody believes in retribution. Nobody believes that
Yeah,
you
it's a
can pay
weird-
your due diligence and everything like that.
It's a weird standard to set
It's a
where it's
weird,
like if
weird
you
standard.
even if you change,
yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Like even if you fuck up once, that's it, buddy. End of the road kind of deal. We don't care. You're always gonna live down with that one thing.
But what I would say is, I think there are examples of people who, like Roseanne,
Yeah.
who will continue to get work, but aren't learning a lesson.
No.
And it seemed like even if he was still doing it, he was smart enough to like hide it or like have it not be what he presents to the world.
Right.
I don't know that he still is. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying it looks like he has actually learned his lesson and
Yes.
has changed.
I believe that he has.
I mean, the problem
But
is
that's my
with
opinion.
that much pedophilia stuff. I mean, it's a weird thing because it already was addressed.
Yes.
Maybe not by Disney, but by him.
Yeah.
Like, he addressed it.
And that's what I mean. Like, it's a very different take on it. He's
But,
like,
like, it, as I said, like, he's a white man. Like, nothing is going to stop him from being able to get work again. People will be stepping over themselves to, like, obviously not Disney, so he's not going to be doing a Star Wars movie or anything like that.
Right.
He'll get picked up by DC. He'll get picked up by someone, and he will continue to work. I'm not worried about his livelihood. What I'm worried about is the precedent it sets in terms of actually taking a look at these case-by-case situations and seeing, is someone Roseanne or is someone James Gunn?
yep.
And it
'Cause
doesn't matter
everyone's
what
being painted with
it
the same
doesn't
brush
matter
right now.
what end of the political spectrum they're on. I think we should move on to Mission Impossible.
We should
have
definitely
been-
move on to
yeah.
Mission Impossible. So we don't get to.
Yeah, we're not going to talk. Let's not talk about. We're not going to talk about that. It'll
Yeah,
just piss people
sorry,
off.
we don't
Let's
get the
just-
rumors stuff. So
There's sites people go to for that. Let's get
Yeah.
into Mission Impossible.
So we watched Mission Impossible Fallout, the latest installment in a long-running franchise of Tom Cruise running fast.
And boy, does he run fast!
Oh my god, man! I'm looking at every Tom
What an
Cruise
athlete.
movie now. If he doesn't pump run like that, is it really a Tom Cruise movie? Like I could watch Jerry
Apparently,
Maguire.
you need to
over
keep your
and over.
hands open.
Yeah.
because the camera won't catch it if you ball up your fist.
Yeah, if you ball up your fist, no, it's a totally different running style.
Interesting.
I can no, that's not true. But yeah, no, like all I could say was, wow, this movie was really, really impressive.
Yeah, I didn't love the one before this, which this is like a direct sequel to.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't feel like they do that often. I feel like it's always like, there's some people around, but this is a new story. This one was like, I was like, oh shit, like that's the bad guy from the first. I was honestly like, I know he's in the trailers all the time, but I did not. I just thought it's just going to be a new story, and I was
Right.
like, oh no, that's like the main guy from the last movie.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay, we're really going for it this time.
That's what I loved most about this was that there was so much payoff from the storylines and everything that they set up in the movie beforehand.
Well, it's definitely payoff to him and his wife.
Exactly.
But like the syndicate stuff, like gets somewhat resolved here, or at least the head of the syndicate gets dealt with.
Yeah, but it could be like a Hydra situation where
Yeah.
you cut off one head and two more take its place.
Well, that's the
Boom.
fun of these movies, right? Like, there's always going to be something to deal with.
Oh,
but
yeah.
what I liked was, as you said, there's payoff, there's closure.
There's great payoff. There was disappointment from the Henry Cavill character a little bit.
My only disappointment
Walker,
was
I
that
think his name
they,
was.
when I first read, it was like he's the villain, and I was like, oh. I feel like that's one of those things that, like, even though you know whoever's new is probably a bad guy, you
Yep.
just don't say he's the villain
Yep.
out front. But what I did like was that when when the reveal happened, it was still like a fun set piece of like
Yes.
switching out the like playing on the mask thing, which he hated. Always like people actually fall for this shit, and then he falls for it. Like that was good
That was
stuff.
very
I like
clever.
that's what I liked about this movie is that like I obviously know Tom Cruise isn't going to die, but you're still like, how are they going to get to the point where he doesn't die? He's like, he should die right now. So like, it was a very engaging movie in
Yes.
terms of like almost every set piece. Even if you saw it in the trailer, you were just like, wow, like how is this gonna like? How are they gonna like land this plane? I mean, figuratively, like it's taken off. Like I can see what's going, but like how are we gonna like get to the next scene without some very big damage?
It's great, and I think one of the small little things, and this is such a small thing that I absolutely love from this movie, was like, so the scene where he gets hit in Paris by the car
Yeah.
when he's doing the chase and everything like that away from the police, and he cleverly gets away. I really like the fact that when he gets hit, he's still able to move, but they're actually showing him limping.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I'm just going to run, all this kind of stuff.
No,
again.
like
those little small visual cues now I'm appreciating so much more, because I don't think that existed in like the early.
No,
kind
I
of
was
action
telling
movie kind
Pauline,
of stuff.
I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure this is the only movie where it ends like with him in a hospital bed. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he walks away smiling from every other movie, and this one he was like, shit, like, oh, my ribs, please,
Yep.
give me a break. I was just like, oh yeah, this was, because the one I like the best, which I think is 4, like Ghost Protocol.
Ghost Protocol.
I think it's more like it's cool what he's doing, whereas this one's like, no, this is like this is intense. This isn't.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that concerned about him looking cool. I think it's more like this is you got to watch. Like, this is going to be a problem for him.
Well, I mean, arguably he doesn't look cool the entire movie until the very end, when he just like, I figured out your plan, Henry Cavill. Because the whole time is just like, I'm babysitting you. This is because you screwed up in Berlin
Yeah.
or whatever. In the beginning, like, so that was a lot of fun to be like, okay, you're really not making him look cool right now. It's just like you're kind of making.
Oh yeah,
him...
because he's constantly like, mostly Benji like calls him out every time, and he's just like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Everything goes, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll find a way. It's like, how are you gonna get that like trigger thing? It's like, I'll find a way. You know?
Yeah.
And damn right you will, because that was intense.
I'm
and
glad they
was
said that,
exciting.
because once he got up in the helicopter, I was like, I have no idea how he's going to get this.
Yeah.
Like, and then he just starts ramming him. Like, I guess so. Like, if you're both on
Yeah.
the ground, you could probably get that trigger.
Yep. And wow, everything about this movie was it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was like the writing from the character side of things, meh.
Yeah.
But you're not expecting fantastic stuff from this, right?
No, I think after the first movie,
No.
that was the most, like, character-driven one.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then, like, after that, you're just like, no, like, cool set pieces.
Yep.
And
I mean-
maybe good villain. Well,
Yeah.
What's-his-face was a great villain, Philip Seymour Hoffman. And
Oh,
then
God,
even then,
yeah,
I
he
don't
was a
really care
great
about the
villain.
villains. He was a great villain, and then it was
And that's
kinda
just
like,
because I loved Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like,
no, but like
pretty
he was
much everything
legitimate.
does.
Like when
Oh, he was
Tom
great.
Cruise puts him like through the bottom of the plane,
Yeah.
and he's just like, and you're like, oh man, this is. I was scared of, because I was like, yeah, good, fuck with him, and then the face he made, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you fucked up.
By
Tom
the way,
Cruise.
because this is a podcast, none of you get to see this, but Dan just did an amazing Philip Seymour Hoffman face. So
when he got up, he was just like, if you have anyone you love, I will find them and I will kill them.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's incredible. It was so good. It was like, yeah, you go, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
and what I like about these movies is they don't try to like recreate
No.
that villain type thing. It's more like, just look at these amazing physical things he's
Yes.
doing. It doesn't look like it's CG. Obviously, there is CG elements,
Yeah.
but it looks like, I mean, even if he's got wires, he's there doing that shit.
Yeah.
And it looks great.
And that's the thing. Like, Tom Cruise as a human being, I could do without. But him as an actor, you have
Yeah.
to love everything that he does, because he puts in so much into his roles, and it's bloody fantastic.
Yeah, I always say I haven't seen every Tom Cruise movie, but
Of course.
the ones I choose to watch, I've never been like, oh, he's not trying.
Yeah.
He gives 110% in everything I've seen him in.
Yes. He's a
He could have
solid
coasted in Tropic Thunder, and he gave it everything.
Oh my god, that's one of my favorite roles of him in Tropic Thunder.
It's
amazing.
People like to make fun of him for how like intense he is on set and how he like tries to
Yeah.
befriend you. I'm like, is that the worst thing ever? That someone at Tom Cruise's level wants to like be your friend?
Yeah.
At least for the 3 hours you have to work with, or 3 months you have to work for him.
Yep.
Eh.
I don't think that's terrible. I think it would be way worse is like, I'm Tom Cruise, get away from me kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think
And
that's
also
way
just
worse.
if he was trying to recruit you for Scientology, that would be bad.
Yeah.
But if he really is just like, hey Ben, how's it going? Like, can't wait to get to work, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine.
I'd be like, oh my god,
yeah.
this is a cool guy. I want to hang out with him.
Yeah.
But wait, no, because of all this giant list of things that make him an asshole. But Tom Cruise as an actor, gold star, man. It's gold
Yeah.
star. I loved all the little like I said, the payoff to all the story arcs that were not finished in the previous one. It was just absolutely amazing. Macquarie here, he just did some great work. in regards to just building up suspense scene after suspense scene, action-packed scene, like trickery, like sleight of hand and stuff like that. It was just absolutely amazing.
So I guess we should give some kind of breakdown of what the plot is. The plot is...
It's a pretty straightforward plot.
Yeah, they lose the plutonium because he chooses Ving Rhames' life, Luther's life.
Luther's life, yeah.
Also, speaking of Luther, didn't you think at the beginning of that phone conversation he gets the call, didn't you think that sounded like Idris Elba on the phone?
I don't know, because if that was the very, very opening of the movie, I missed probably 5 minutes of it, because I just, or 10 minutes of it, and my movie-going experience was kind of affected by the sense where we had some great seats in the middle.
Yeah.
And this family decided to move their kids into our seats and pretend like nothing was wrong. And I'm like, what the hell? But we were already late, and there was two seats right next to them, and I was like, whatever. It's going to suffer marginally. It's not; those aren't terrible seats. They're still in the same row. It's just 4 seats over. But to that family, you suck.
Yeah, I don't like when people do that.
You suck donkeys.
So yeah, the beginning, I was like, oh man, is there like... Did they hide that Idris Elba is in this movie? Fucking sick! And then it just never... Like, I still don't know who that was on the phone. Even if the movie told me, I was so convinced it was Idris Elba that I was just like, nope, someone else is coming. Yeah. I also like... anyway, so he loses the plutonium from the beginning of the movie that will...
Set up
I mean, basically, they've targeted India, Pakistan, and China as like these big populations that will be starved, essentially. And the mantra that Henry Cavill has written out is, the greater the suffering, the better the peace, or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, because they said like, and
because basically the syndicate is fucked, and now it's the apostles, and the apostles are trying to carry out this thing led by Henry Cavill, which is a very
Henry Cavill and the villain, the bearded dude.
No, Lane. He needs Lane.
Yeah.
But it is a Henry Cavill thing. Like he is where Walker is doing. Well, I guess he's Lark or whatever. Like whatever that fake thing is. Like so, when you see that bathroom scene, that's like where they think that man is Tom Cruise does. Yeah. Henry Cavill is well aware who John Lark is in that situation, which I kind of liked. That like he really was so bold-faced, like no, it's Tom Cruise, even though it was clearly him the whole time. You're just like, wow, he's really going with this lie. Like, good for him. Like, I would try to not put the heat on someone right next to me because then it only leaves me after the fact.
It's a bold move because, like, right from the get-go, you're set up to believe that this is not the smartest agent in the world.
Yeah, he's just a sledgehammer.
You're like, he's like, oh, you have a precision, you have a scalpel. I prefer a sledgehammer. Like, he's rough and gritty, and you don't expect him to actually be able to put these plans together and all that kind of stuff. And when you like rethink about all the events, the fact that he's like, okay, well, I destroyed the laptop that prints the faces or everything like that as part of the fight scene. Like for him to do that was just like, that's kind of brilliant. You recognize that opportunity, or you had it planned right from the get-go, or just didn't give it your whole fight. Because I mean, like it took 3 agents to take down that like the guy who they originally thought was Lark in the bathroom, and that was such a great scene because
I love that fight scene.
Yeah, you get that scene where you get that one move where Henry Cavill just for no reason whatsoever shake outs the fists. I'm like, oh my god, that's so badass. Go for it, buddy. That guy, and I love the fact that guy held his own. It was just like, who is this guy? He obviously wasn't Lark. Like, who is this guy? But I mean, it probably was a syndicate or an apostle.
Yeah, it was an apostle.
They're like, listen, we gotta kill you, man. It's kind of like that. That one thing where Bane was like, no, they expect one of us in the crash, brother. And so
that's a good point, someone who was down to die, but like, man, did he give a big fight.
Oh, he gave a great fight. And there's just so much of this movie that was just so intense. And
I also liked the Halo scene where he like comes down and then Tom Cruise like gives him his oxygen and he's just like, looks like you messed up with your oxygen, man. I'm like, you motherfucker.
You dork. That was a lot of fun to see. It was like, oh god, I forgot. It's like, we can't jump in this. It's storming. Like,
I can't believe they actually got struck by lightning. I was just like,
was full on expecting it. If they didn't, I'd be so
what a
pissed off.
Deadpool 2 move. Like, just like the storm. Fuck it, we're going. And it's just like, no, you can't go into that storm. More so than Deadpool 2. I was like, you can't go into that.
Yeah, you have no regeneration powers, and you don't have Peter.
I loved every action scene. I thought there was going to be some that I was like, yeah, I get it. But I was like, every action scene, I was like, man, like, how is this going to turn out? This is great.
It was legit amazing. God, what like, the chase scenes, the everything. I can't.
Yeah, I liked White Widow as well because I didn't. I never really knew where she was at. Like,
right.
And I was like, I guess she's just telling the truth. She really just wants Lane. Like, I was like, is she going to try and screw them over? And then it's like, no, she just needs Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And then she also needs to get rid of this person who's trying to kill Lane. So
It
that's
was
how Faust gets involved. And like, I know her from The Crown.
Yep.
I just remember watching The Crown and like right away be like, who is this woman?
Mm-hmm.
I will be looking her up. And then I was just like, nice.
Yeah, she's looking
But
at her
she's
acting
young.
credits, right? Yeah.
But she's young, so I was just like, that kiss with Tom Cruise. The only kiss he gets in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
From that, like, I was just like, She's
only
so
face
young.
kiss anyways.
Like, she's so young. I don't like that this, like, nigh on 60-year-old man is kissing this, like, 20-year-old.
Yeah, but it's Hollywood, and it was just one. It was one of those kisses.
Well, I mean,
where,
it wasn't a romantic kiss.
No, it was just
like
like
a, I'm kissing you to fuck with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Deadpool kisses the pizza delivery guy or something like that, which is still one of my favorite things in the world.
I guess we're noticing there's Batman and Deadpool connections to this movie.
Oh, there's tons of those. Yeah. You'd think at the, what is this, the sixth installment in the franchise, that it would find a way to fall flat. That it would not, and especially with Tom Cruise getting older, like you say, close to 60 and all that kind of stuff, it's still as good as the first one in terms of suspense and action and all that kind of stuff, if not better. And the
I really
crazy
like
thing
the
is,
first one.
Yeah.
But this one, in terms of, like, because clearly after the second one, they, like, changed their style. I think this is...
Yes.
No, I still like Ghost Protocol the best. But, like, I really like this one because, like... It was a different shift. It was a different shift. It was like... Yeah, let's see how intense we can make this. And, like, I was telling Pauline, like, if I describe this stuff to you, it sounds silly, but, like, if you're sitting in the theater
so
and watching, like, the helicopters fall on each other in that, like, crevice of the mountain face, you're just like, this is crazy.
It's definitely over the top. It's crazy. It's all those things. Even, like, the whole thing is, like, this is how Henry Cavill dies. Is like he gets a hook to the face.
I like that.
From the cargo thing. It was like, holy crap.
He needed to have like a definitive death. I was just like,
absolutely.
Good. And like the woman beside me, the whole time, like not for the whole time, the last like 40 minutes, basically right before it's clear he's the villain, even though when he gives Angela Bassett the unbroken phone, you're like, oh,
yeah,
yes, for sure
course.
he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, but like basically right before they do the switch with Benji and the real Lane, she just kept going, he's bad, right? He's the bad guy.
Oh god,
he's bad.
That.
I'm like,
I hate when people have to add their commentary.
Yes,
to it.
he is.
Yeah.
But what was funny was whoever she was with, this guy was trying to impress her, I think, and he was like, actually, if he was really knocked out, his head would be at this degree. And then I was like, the movie thought of that because he wasn't really knocked out. That was Benji pretending to be knocked out. And like he just like sunk back into his seat when it was like revealed that it was Benji. He was just like, okay. Yeah. But he was like, actually, no, like his head wouldn't be like that. And I was like, who the fuck cares? And then when the movie was like, no, we're well aware of that, I was like,
but what? My biggest issue with people talking through the movie, I hate it so much, and it adds nothing to it. And it's not one of those things where it's like a callback kind of scenario, or like, oh, everyone's laughing at the same joke or something like that. Is
if you
meant to be part of the
react to the movie the way the movie is trying to make you react, that's
Totally
different than being like,
but like, who's
actually,
that? Who's that?
Yeah.
Who's that? Like,
He's
shut
bad.
up. This is a brand new movie. We know as much as you do right now. That like, shut up. Just shut up.
Or when Wes Bentley showed up as the husband of, I don't even know her name.
Yeah, Julia. Yeah.
When she was like, he's bad, right? I'm like, how? How could he possibly be bad? He's just her husband.
Yeah.
He clearly has
Doctors Without
nothing
border
to,
situation.
She's like, no, he's bad. When he never flat out says, I know who you are now, but when he's like, okay, doc, like, good thing you got found. She was like, see, he's bad. I'm like, no, he's not a bad guy.
God damn it.
Shut up.
Yep. People are the worst.
I like that Julia got involved at the end when she was
That
like
shot-
helping
that surprised me.
with the
Yeah.
bomb.
The whole like
Oh no!
Julia just
As soon
showing
as they
up
kept
thing-
saying, "Why does he need a medical camera?" Like, so that his wife can be there. Why does he need it? I don't know. I'm like, so his wife could be there. Let's get to the wife already.
yeah,
And
that
then-
messed with me just because I'm like, in terms of Mission Impossible franchise, I don't remember a lot of it because of the thing,
yeah, this movie you need to remember stuff.
Yes, you need to remember, and that's where this movie gets a little bit esoteric compared to the other ones. The
It
other
was
ones are
like
just like
Infinity
go,
War
go, go,
in terms
go.
of like,
exactly.
hey, you better have watched the other movies.
Yep. So that's why I'm like, oh, this is very clever now, what
Yeah.
they've done. Because whenever I watch a Mission Impossible movie, my brain is not turned on. Especially after a 14-hour shoot day.
Right.
My brain is not turned on. I'm there, I'm sitting back, I'm relaxing, I'm just watching some high action octane
You're pissed
thriller.
at a family that took your seats.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, I did enjoy that family's reaction to the whole suspense thing because the mom was just like curled up and like really grabbing at the daughter and just like, and the older daughter or like whatever, and just like cuddle up in this position where it's like, oh my god, the countdown's going. This is like not actually saying anything. So like you could feel how
Yeah,
tense
that
she was.
I really liked, even though you knew that it was still going to come down
yeah.
to cutting a wire before a countdown. I liked they were like, we can't do this, we can't do. I was like,
Yeah.
good, I like this.
I
This is
really
set
like that.
up
They
this
like
thing.
added so many layers of complication to that
Yeah.
that it just made it was like, yes, it's not just on Tom Cruise. This is exactly
Yeah,
why.
it was an actually team
Yeah.
effort. Like,
yeah,
they
and
really-
this is the exact reason why he has to save. Was it Lance or
Lane?
Lincoln?
Luther.
Luther.
Yeah, Luther.
This is the exact reason why he had to justify saving Luther in the beginning. Like, obviously not with that foresight.
Yeah. But like even Angela Bassett said, like, I'm glad that you actually think about the one life over millions. That way I don't have to.
Well, she's like, yeah, like I care about the one life and the millions at the same time.
No, she was
That's
actually
great.
saying I don't care about the one life. If
Yeah.
it meant
the
like it's the
beginning,
whole
yeah.
Captain America thing, like we don't trade lives. She's like, no, I'll trade a life.
Yeah.
If it means like a million people are alive, I'll trade a life. Whereas she was saying, and it's what I always say, like the diversity helps. Of like,
Yes.
if you're over here caring about the one life, then I can be over here not worrying about that one life because now I can actually focus on the big picture while you're being the scalpel and figuring out how to save the one life. So I mean, like, maybe you should already know that before the events of this movie, but you got there and that's nice.
Yep.
I also didn't remember her name because they kept going Sloan, and I'm like, who is Sloan?
Yeah,
Is that Idris Elba? And then like it was Angela Bassett, and I was like, oh, this whole movie I've been calling you Angela Bassett in my head.
Whenever I see her, I'm like, it's just Angela Bassett.
But she's so good in this scene.
She's
like,
so good
in
in
her scene.
everything.
She's so intense that I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, you fuck with them.
Yep.
And like in the first scene where I'm like, did she not like working with Henry Cavill? I don't even think she looked at him during her scene
Yeah.
with him. She just was like yelling things at him from behind
Yep.
her.
How have we not talked about Alec Baldwin's character actually dying in this one?
I wanted to talk about him.
That's huge.
I loved everything leading up to his death. The way
Yeah.
he was just like, he brought the gun back out,
Yep.
and then Henry Cavill takes the gun. And he's like, oh, I wonder if this one's loaded. Do you want to find out? I'm like, yes, yes, Alec. And then when he like fucked up, and he's like, oh, you were doing so well up until now.
Yep. I love Alec Baldwin in so many different capacities. Obviously, his comedic chops are just the best, but like when he's in a movie like this and he does the drama really, really well, just
And
like
he
in
even
The
had a fight
Departed.
scene.
Yeah, and he had a fight scene, and like he
Which
just
didn't look stupid.
kills it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like he's obviously gonna die, but like he's putting up a fight. Like
Yeah.
it's not like they just let him get beat the fuck up.
Yeah, there's a reason why they showed him packing up that knife. Like
Yeah.
there's a reason, and boom,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like the next kind of handler for this Mission Impossible
Because
program.
that was the other thing is it's always a new handler except for
Alec
this.
Baldwin. Yeah.
Well, because this one was actually a sequel.
Yeah.
My assumption is the next movie will just do something completely different.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I was kind of thinking like maybe this is where it should end, but like on this high note. But
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, it probably makes way too much money for them to ever consider not just going.
And
Because
I mean, like-
like everything about this was different. It's like they've never had the same director twice.
Yes.
They've never done a full on. Like I don't think they've done the same handler twice.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see where they go from here. Because, like I said, I keep saying this after each Mission Impossible movie. How many times can you write a movie that is so predictable, but at the same time, so excited. You don't care that it's predictable. You don't care about those elements.
It's
You're
not
just
the
like,
same
oh my God, this
as
is great.
Tomb Raider in terms of it's a better movie, but I like that it worked on the same thing of like,
Yeah.
we already know how this is going to play out,
Yeah.
but like, let's make it interesting getting to these points you already know will happen.
Exactly.
And I
Just
thought they
add
were
more
very,
layers.
like they did a really good job at execution. Because I like the only thing that threw me off was the dreams, or not dream sequence, but when they like play out how it will go to get Lane, and he shoots the cop, and I was like, oh, is this going to be a movie about how he just like goes too far to that? And then he like. They snap back, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. They're not interested in like developing his character, which is fine with me. Like, I don't need. He's already at peak, whatever he's gonna be. Like, he is who he is. So it is about how many situations can we put him in where he is tempted to do the thing that he doesn't want to do, and then he gets around it.
Yep.
And that I thought that was well done.
I thought it was
and
very,
well
very
executed.
clever. Especially the part where it's like, was it always your plan to get Lane caught or something like that? He's like, yes, but not this way.
Oh yeah, like you always plan to give him up, and he's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
But not like this. And like they just kind of improvise, they like change on the fly. I think that was really, really clever in this one. That
Yeah, I really
so...
liked how they extracted Lane.
Yeah, that was awesome to me.
Something I did not see coming. I mean, once the like he put the thing in the water and there was a diver, I was like, okay, I get what's happening, but I was still like, how is he gonna get this done? And then like I love that they do all that elaborate stuff and it works out, and it all comes down to like, I don't even know if she was she had a gun, so she wasn't a meter maid, but like that one cop that was just outside being like, hey, no, and I was like, all that hard work and it gets blown up by this woman. It was great.
Yeah. Fantastic, fantastic movie. And even the point where he's like, boom, 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 like killed the henchman instead of her and all that. It was so well done. I loved it.
And I like that Faust had to like fuck with him a bunch, and then she even said like, hey, like you hit me with the car, it doesn't matter, I get it, get it. And you're like, they respect each other.
Yep. It's good times. This movie was just absolutely fantastic. I loved a lot.
Yeah.
Like every
most
minute, I just
Mission
loved it.
Impossible movies, there's stuff that I'm just like, I
Whatever.
don't quite grasp what's happening, but I'm having a good time, so I don't care.
I overlook a whole bunch of stuff because of the fact that this always puts me in a good mood after watching it. It always makes me have fun, except for Mission Impossible 3. I'm like, no, stop doing that, John Woo.
No, that's
Don't.
2. 3 is great. 3 is
Oh,
the J.J. Abrams one.
Sorry, 2. Mission
Yeah.
Impossible 2 is the John Woo one. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. I didn't like
I don't want to rewatch it, but it just seems like it's not great.
No,
And
the
I
only
didn't like
scene
it.
I want to watch is him slowly walking with the doves flying everywhere. That's the only scene I want to rewatch.
No, I like
Classic
all.
John.
It's crazy that I like, to varying degrees, I like all of them except for 2.
Yep.
And I'm sure if I did rewatch 2, I'd be like, whatever.
It's got its
fine.
merits. It's still
but
fun.
like,
It's just
I loved
artistically
1,
different. Yeah.
and then 2 was a big drop off, and then 3 was great, and I love Ghost Protocol 4.
Yep.
Rogue Nation has a fun elements. I don't love it, but it's good. And then this one, I was just like, yeah, they brought it back. Like, this is-
Fallout.
Fallout.
Good times.
Great time.
All right. It's rating time.
Do you want me to go first, or are you going first?
Yeah, let's do this.
I give it an 8.
Yeah, I'm doing an 8. Probably 7, but definitely.
I'm
an
in
8.
between 7.5 and 8, but
Yeah.
I think I'll stick with 8.
I think 8's solid. To me, it was a lot of fun to be like, this is the movie. This is the movie mustache that caused all that controversy.
Played
with Justice
nothing
League.
into it. I just like
I
that
know.
Paramount was like, you know what, fuck you.
Yeah.
No,
that
he's
was
not
what the
cutting.
fun part was. 'cause I'm like,
He's not going to shave it. No.
It's so funny because I'm like, okay.
I mean, there was no way it played into his role. Like,
Exactly.
a mustache never will play into, like...
I disagree,
something.
man. Look at Tom Selleck. The new Magnum PI. The biggest question is,
Well,
we don't
that's
care what
different.
he's going to
That's
look
a TV
like.
show.
It's whether
That's
or
not
not
like
he'll
a
have
new
his
character.
It's whether or not he'll have the mustache.
Yeah,
That
no.
classic, sexy
What I
push
meant was...
broom mustache on Thomas Selleck's upper lip has to be cast in this one.
Yeah, but no one was like, oh, it's Walker? He's playing Walker? Oh, I hope he has his classic...
Well, yeah, because it's his original.
That's what I'm
quote,
saying.
Original character.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, no, it would have never been an issue.
Yeah.
Like, if they could have just made him shave halfway through the movie,
Yeah.
because when he's like, "Oh yeah, I got found out. I don't need this bullshit anymore," or anything like.
Yeah.
He could have got away with not having it, or they could have put a fake one on him.
I just find it
like
funny.
that Paramount was petty, and I was like, no.
Yeah, I love how petty it was, and I love the fact that it's like, this is not a guy that cared that much about the mustache anyways, because he had like other kind of stubble growth going on, and he just had the mustache. So it was like, it was not a guy that cared too much about his aesthetic, but really cared about the mustache. And that's what, to me, I'm like, from a character standpoint, I'm like, you You love that mustache. That's what your character does. Walker, good for you, man.
Yeah, it was an
Good for
interesting. It was an interesting thing because at the beginning of the movie, I did think like he doesn't need this,
there's-
and they're never going to explain why it was a
there's
thing.
no
And then I was
point.
just like, you know what? I don't even care anymore.
There's
It is
no
what it is.
reason to have that other than
Sorry.
other than like, ooh, he's got a mustache compared to Tom Cruise, who's clean shaven. He's a bit shadier, but it's like really, like no
I
one's
think-
thinking that whatsoever. No,
Well, I guess the only thing Henry Cavill would think of was like, I don't care if Justice League sucks because I get to be like amazing in this movie. Like,
Maybe.
people will think about my fight scene. Like, everyone loves that one split second of him shaking his arms.
that's the most amazing thing.
And
ever.
like, he gets a lot to do in this movie.
I'm
He
pretty
gets
sure,
to play
like-
a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Henry Cavill, but
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like if you were to watch this performance, you would acknowledge that like he plays the dumb grunt, and then he gets to play like the like meticulous guy. Like as you said, like if you think back to what he did, a lot of it was very smart. It wasn't
Yes.
just like a sledgehammer thing.
Yep.
And like
even like tricking Angela Bassett
Yes.
for such a long time to be like, listen, I'm this dumb guy that'll do exactly what you want. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's where you're wrong there, kiddo.
And he
Finger
had
guns.
fun moments with Tom Cruise.
Oh, he had
Like,
great
like,
moments.
like, he got to do a bunch of stuff. So I think he probably was like, I don't
Yeah.
care about Justice League. Like, it's
But
fine
at the
if
same
it's
time,
shit.
like now that, and it's funny that we bring up Justice League because people keep asking us like, when's the new Superman movie coming out? When's this? And now he's taking it to the point where he's like, it'll come out sometime before 2049.
yeah,
Is his answer. I'm like, this is amazing. He doesn't even care anymore. It's so good. He's contractually there's like, if you guys figure out your shit, whatever. But it looks like you're looking to Aquaman and Shazam to
well,
the future.
he's
of
probably
this.
in Shazam. People have said that
I
that
wouldn't
is
be
like.
surprised if he is.
I mean, obviously not in a lead role or anything,
No.
but like as someone pointed out, like the same way Flash was in Suicide Squad, like
Yes.
I'm sure he'll be in it in that capacity.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one scene, one and done. Good times. But yeah, both eights, solid
movie.
8. Yeah,
I liked
great
it.
movie. A lot of fun. Turn off your brain. Go watch it this
Don't
weekend.
turn off your brain because you brought up a bunch of things that made me think that Walker was smarter than I initially thought he was.
Oh yeah,
There's some cool things that go on that they don't like shine a light on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just something that you can piece together if you're more engaged than I. Clearly, I wasn't engaged enough with the movie.
right. And even the I don't know. Yeah, no. There's a lot of Walker stuff that you would miss the first time around. It's just
Yeah.
like, and that was what I think impressed me most about this movie. After a 14-hour shoot day, no breaks or whatever,
Right.
going straight into that revved me right up. That
Mm-hmm.
movie just kept me going. Captain America 1 didn't even do that. I fell asleep during Captain America 1. This movie just had me and just grabbed me and just
Yeah.
brought me on. The only thing that I did not enjoy about this movie was the montage sequence that they had in the beginning, where they basically cut scenes from every.
Oh, but they do that in the movies.
I know, but I don't like those.
Oh.
That's my biggest complaint about the Mission Impossible franchise. Is just whenever that happens, I just shut my eyes and I'm like, no spoilers within your movie. Screw you. But I understand it's a thing they do. I
It's
just
a
don't
thing.
like it.
I think it's supposed to harken back to the TV show.
Yeah, sure.
I'm fine with it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Get rid of it. But it's too late. to
Never get rid of it.
Yeah. Solid 8s all around. Anyways, thank you very much for listening. Of course, this is Daniel and Ben.
Yeah, and we're on the Dork Shelf Network. You thought I was going to forget, but I did it.
Did not. No.
Dork Shelf Sandwich complete. Go to dorkshelf.com and you'll find other podcasts like us, like The Great Page of the Wind, that agrees that the animated Batman, or possibly Arkham Batman, is the best Batman.
Yes.
Even though we tweeted at them with Batman Forever. But it was cool that they knew it was Batman. It was cool that they knew that it was Batman Forever. Anyway, the point is, Page of the Wind is great.
Mr.
The
Val
Shelf
Kilmer.
is great. Yeah. Of
course.
No Budget Nightmare is great.
Movies and matrimony.
Yeah, I never want to say Movies and Matrimony, but it is a great podcast that you should listen to. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.
Get your podcast fill at dorkshelf.com. And if you want to listen to old episodes of our show, it's at tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten.
Yep. And definitely follow us on Instagram and Twitter or Facebook. All
And
that
you'll
kind
learn
of
how to
stuff.
do that by going to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten or dorkshelf.com, but I don't remember what our actual link is. But if you're listening to this episode, then our podcast must be close to the top at this point, and you'll be able to find out there
Yep.
on dorkshelf.com. Thank you very much, everybody.
Did we say dork shelf enough times?
I
Contractually,
don't think we said it at all. You should go to dorkshelf.com.
I think contractually we have to say it 3 more times, right?
Yeah, dorkshelf.com, dorkshelf.com, dorkshelf.com.
Boom.
Thank
See you later, guys.
Bye.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.